It's real talk with your main Chip Washington. When it comes to information, the main got an arsenal. Bring you up to speed with what you need. He's the local and nationwide news feed. Let's talk about it. Dialect to do something about it. Chip got the flow wide open if you got questions about it. Man, it's the show that brings you to your raw. To solve all problems, it starts with real talk. It's 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 real talk. Yeah. Welcome to Real Talk with your host, Chip Washington. It's real talk. It's real talk. It's real talk.
And here we go on this Monday evening. It's the 29th day of July 2024, which means it's time for Real Talk Memphis because it's 6 o'clock straight up on a Monday evening. Glad to have you with us. I know you are with us wherever it is you are, and you might be catching us right now. This fine piece of radio broadcasting. We truly, truly appreciate it. It's a beautiful day. It's a hot day. It is a very warm day outside. And by the way, all the hot weather rules apply. We are going to see heat indices. The temperature is going to rise, and we're going to see heat indices over 110 degrees before it's all said and done. Heat advisories, heat warnings in effect, which means that you need to apply the hot weather rules. Drink plenty of fluids, of course. If you don't have to be outside for extended periods of time, please don't do that, because we want to keep you around. Always check on your friends and especially the elderly when we have this type of extreme heat. And the pets, absolutely that. Running around out here, Lola reminded me of that. So, yeah, absolutely that. We want to make sure that you're okay and make sure that everybody else is okay, too. So welcome in to the Monday edition. We think we have a good show for you tonight. If you are joining us and you are doing it by a various number of ways, we appreciate it. Of course, we're on 91.7 on your FM dial. That will be WYXR. You can also catch us on the WYXR app. We are on the TuneIn app. Just put in Real Talk Memphis, and you'll be able to hear us live as well. We are going to be live streaming this evening on Facebook Live. So if that is your thing, you can actually see our interviews. And, of course, the next day or so when the show is posted, you will be able to catch it. If you're a YouTube fan, you can catch it on YouTube. And we are a podcast. Did you know we were a podcast? I think you knew, but you needed to be reminded. We are a podcast. So after the show is posted, you can catch us wherever it is you get your podcast. So we got all of that out of the way. We feel good about it. We feel good about our show, too. We have some great guests tonight. We hope you stick around for the next hour or so you can be kind of in tune, as they say, get the information. You know, we like to provide information for you as well. First guest in just a couple of minutes is going to be State Senator Raumesh Akbari, and she's going to join us to talk a little bit about the political landscape, both locally and nationally, as she is a delegate to the Democratic Party. Looking forward to getting her take on things in reference to that. A little bit later on, we're going to focus on mental health, which comes in a variety of different sections, of course. We're going to be speaking with Brandy Flynn. Brandy is a mental health expert. Mental health, of course, is an issue that all of us deal with, many people deal with on occasion. Life happens. Stress happens. And when life happens and stress happens, a lot of times for many of us, it's very difficult to deal with. It was once a very hidden problem in our communities. It's still a bit hidden, but more and more people seem to be realizing that it is not a critical problem that can't be overcome. So we'll talk to her a little bit about that. And a bit later on, we're going to talk to a counselor and a therapist who's been on the show before. Her name is Alicia Denton, and she's written a book about how to cope, how to deal. And it's called Under the Purple Clouds. She'll tell us a little bit about that book and about a very special series of events she will be hosting with an area church starting for the entire month of August, by the way. She'll be doing this on Thursday evenings. We'll talk to her about that and why that is so important. So there you go. There's the lineup. We hope that, again, that you had a good week. Hoping that everything is okay with you. And now you can sit back, relax, stay out of the heat, and hang with us for the next hour. First things first, many of you celebrating birthdays in and around, of course, over the weekend or today or maybe this week. It is always an accomplishment when God grants you another trip around the sun. So we like to do this little thing called a shout out. We like to make you feel special because, of course, you are special. But we can't do any of that until I say, hit it, Brand. Happy birthdays going out to the following. Ronald Watson. I know Ronald Watson. Just saw him a couple of days ago. Happy birthday, big man. Marvin Mims celebrating a birthday today, as is Vincent B. Lee. Toy Free to Be Me celebrating her birthday today. Happy birthday to Vinnie Flynn, to James Littlejohn. Happy birthday going out to Alton Whitney. Ruby Bright celebrating her birthday today, as well as Ophelia Carmi. And finally, June Askew. No, that's not true. It's not final. But it is June's birthday. But we do have one more. Cheryl Piggy's Crite celebrating her birthday. And what would a Monday evening be without a birthday shout out from Lola herself?
Happy birthday to my great nephew, Sean Williams, and also my dear friend, Miss Star McKinney. Happy birthday, beautiful.
Happy birthday, y'all. So glad that you're still with us. And from all of us here, we hope that this day has been filled with fun and laughter. And we also hope that we are here next year for your next trip around the sun. Thank you, Brand. It's always good to see my folks, Lola and Brandy. If you hear Lola's show this evening, it's always good. Every Monday evening, you know, she puts you in that mood with that music, only DJ Lola style. So if you hadn't really caught it on the regular, it's each and every Monday evening from 5 to 6 p.m. Central Time right here on this fine radio station. All right, let's do some news and notes this evening. First of all, let me cover a couple of passings, if you will, some transitions. Bishop Charles Rogers, of course, transitioned about a week or so back, 2 weeks or so back. Bishop Rogers was a great religious leader and a longtime religious leader in this community, and just a wonderful human being. Of course, he transitioned, and they funeralized him this past last weekend. And we found out late today that Alma Powell, the widow of Four-star General Colin Powell, died today. She transitioned. She was 86 years of age. And, of course, many of us do remember Colin Powell. They were married and a couple for over 60 years. So may their memories always be a blessing. All right, quick turn to politics. We all know that VP Kamala Harris is the presumptive nominee of the Democratic Party and will now take on Donald Trump for the presidency. Since she has entered this race, she has raised $200 million. She has galvanized over 170,000 new volunteers willing to get out there, make phone calls, knock on doors, and do whatever it takes to get her in office, as well as a new registration total of young people under the age of 35 to some over 30,000 of them have registered to vote. 30,000 people under the age of 35 have registered to vote since she has become the presumptive nominee of the Democratic Party. I would say that there is a bit of excitement out there in terms of the party and in terms of the country, period. But that would be understating the fact altogether. So we'll have to keep an eye on this. By the way, her opponent, Donald Trump, is now the oldest man in the history of this country to run for the presidency of the United States. And, of course, there was conversation about a debate that he wanted to have, of course, with President Biden. who's no longer running. Vice President Harris has more than said, I will be more than happy to sit across from you and debate you anytime, any day, any place, anywhere. He has waffled. I believe that's the term. She's waffling. He's stepping away. He's a little hesitant about all that right now. Oh, well, I don't, the Democratic Party's having problems, blah, blah. No, you're having problems. So we'll see how all that unfolds. Speaking of voting, early voting here in Memphis and Shelby County ended on Saturday. The big election is this Thursday, August 1st. And there are races that are very important locally that you need to pay attention to. Including school board seats, there are 18 people running for 5 open positions. There is, of course, the General Sessions Court clerk race. There are local state, Senate, and House seats up for grabs as well. So, the early voting was abysmal. What else is new? Of course, you have a chance to make up for it on August 1st. There'll be some primaries setting up for the November event. So let us see what happens on this coming Thursday, I believe, when the election does take place. And we hope you get out there and vote. Polls will be open from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m., so you absolutely have no excuse whatsoever. Let's see here. Memphis and Shelby County Schools. Faculty, staff, stop right there, reported back to school today. Students have another week off. They'll be off this week. They'll be heading back to the classroom next Monday, the 4th, I believe it is when they go back to school. Summer vacation is over for the teachers, for the faculty, and the staff. They're back in the classrooms now, preparing, getting ready for another school year, and we wish them all nothing but the best in terms of a great school year. We have a new superintendent, Dr. Marie Fagans. So we'll see how all this plays out. I believe DeSoto County Schools, their faculty and staff also reported back today as well. We're going to take a break here. And, of course, first of all, let me just shout out the United States in the Olympics. It just started a couple of days ago. And Lola's back here like, yeah. The men won. The men gymnastics men won a medal today. They won a bronze medal for the first time in 18 years. That's happened. 16 years that's happened. So that's a big deal. Swimming looking good. Gymnastics started yesterday. The prelims looking good. Simone Biles has a bit of a tweak in her calf, but she's still. It really is something to say. You're the most dominant gymnast in the entire show out there, and you do things that nobody else can do. Even when you make a slip or a stumble, she's just that good. But we'll find out more about the gymnast tomorrow night. I'm pretty sure that she'll have some more medals to be added to her frame as well. That takes a quick look at news and notes. We will take our first break of the evening. And when we come back, we will get into what I think is a pretty good broadcast. This is Real Talk Memphis. I'm Chip, Bryn is Bryn, and Lola is Lola, and of course you know who you are. Go away, but come back. We'll be right back.
If you like Real Talk, here's a way you can get involved. Do you have a show topic idea or suggestion? Want to be considered a guest or have a guest idea? Then send Chip a message on his Real Talk show page and you can be a part of the Real Talk experience. So as he always says, go out and tell somebody. We'll be right back.
Support for WYXR comes from Team Clean. With more than 22 years of experience, Team Clean provides services for home, work, or studio space. Biodegradable cleaning products mixed with common sense and tailored to each client's needs. Estimates and information at weareteamclean.com.
Connect with Memphis on WYXR. We offer sponsorship opportunities that expose your brand to our loyal listeners who value local arts, culture, and music. Support public radio and be part of our community. Explore more at wyxr.org/sponsorship.
Support for WYXR comes from the Orpheum Theater Group, presenting Disco Detective, a 70s soulful murder mystery in partnership with Princeton James Productions. This immersive and interactive dinner theater experience throws you headfirst into a swinging 70s party with a killer twist. More information at orpheum-memphis.com.
Get Real Talk on the TuneIn mobile app under WYXR, and he's now streaming live on Facebook. And you can also catch a rebroadcast on YouTube. Just put WYXR in the search box and hit subscribe. Now back to more Real Talk with Chip Washington.
And welcome back to Real Talk Memphis on this beautiful Monday evening in the city, albeit hot. Chip with you. Very glad to have you with us out there. And very glad to have our first guest with us. She has been on our show before. And, of course, we love speaking with her about all things Memphis and all things Shelby County. Please welcome back to the show, Senator Raumesh Akbari. And it is great to see you, my friend. How are you?
Likewise, great to see you. You know, the General Assembly is not in session, so I feel great. However, it's been a busy summer. We have an election on August the 1st, and of course, had a seismic shift in the Democratic Party about a week ago.
We're gonna talk. We're gonna talk about all of it. How did you know? How did you know? Now, well, first things first. Of course, local politics first. We do have a big election coming up on Thursday, August 1st. It does have consequences for several races. Of course, I don't think you were surprised, and I know I wasn't surprised at the fact that, as per usual, we don't seem to want to turn out for these early voting sessions. And I believe if the number was half of what it was 4 years ago, which is still disheartening. But do you feel that maybe more people will focus at least on the primary coming up on August 1st? And after you answer that, please tell us just how inconsequential and important it is for all of us to get out and vote.
Certainly. Well, I think the early voting numbers, they finally released the final amount. It's a little bit more encouraging than it had been, but still turnout is low. So we do need folks to, if you have not cast your ballot, go ahead and do that on August the 1st. When you do not exercise your right to vote, you silence yourself. And, you know, they always say, if you don't have a seat at the table, you're on the menu. And certainly I think that's the case when you don't participate in the democratic process. Mm-hmm. So we have all of our state elected officials in the Tennessee House. Some of them in the Tennessee Senate have a primary. And in our general election, we have the General Sessions Court Clerk. Mm-hmm. That race is up. And so you have Tammy Sawyer as a Democratic nominee and Lisa Arnold as a Republican nominee. So that's very important for folks to show up. It does make a difference who's in charge of that type of position.
We have five seats with the school board, the Shelby County School Board.
Yes,
that are up.
I didn't mention the school board.
That's all right.
Yeah.
But we have 18 people running for these seats. Yeah. This is critically important. And it seems to be getting a little more attention than the other races are. But this could really define sort of how Dr. Fagans moves forward, depending on who's on this board, correct?
Well, certainly. I mean, the school board is such an important elected office. A lot of people don't think about it, but their budget, the school system budget is larger than the city of Memphis.
Right.
And so it is really important that people who are on there who are committed to children, committed to the community, and certainly Dr. Fagans is the one employee that they do manage. And so it really is very, very important to the future of Memphis Shelby County Schools, who is elected or reelected, and their commitment and what they are going to do once they get there.
Before we shift to national politics, I want to ask you something about what is happening locally here, especially during this past session. There seems to be, and I had D.A. Mulroy in here last week talking about this, and there seems to be this effort amongst your Republican colleagues up there in Nashville to want to take over what is happening here in the local municipality. In his case, for example, there's a couple of them, one of your colleagues, Brent Taylor, and of course now we have the House leader, Cameron Sexton, trying to remove him from office. And we've seen this move in some of these seats here. I have to get your take on all of this and exactly what is happening. Now, having said that, you're very respected up in the State House, but this is a bit disturbing to me, and I wonder what your take is on all this.
I think it's just unnecessary, and it takes away from the real issues we need to be working together to solve. I'm sure you saw the report that crime is down in Memphis.
I did.
Which is great because even though they're not large numbers, it's great, and it's starting to reflect the trends across the country where you've seen significant double-digit drops in crime in cities like Baltimore and St. Louis, which have very similar demographics to Memphis. So I think it is pretty ridiculous to try and, unseat or remove D.A. Mulroy from office, especially since he's only been 2 years into his term. Nothing has been significantly changed. As far as the crime numbers from when you had a Republican in that seat, I think we need to give him time to do his job, and I think we need to help support him in doing it. The bail system that everyone talks so severely about is a bail system that was adopted under D.A. Wyrick. So I think if you are going to overturn the will of the people to elect an official, it needs to be for serious malfeasance, for serious dereliction of their duties, which is not something I see with D.A. Mulroy. So I hope that my colleagues will recognize, listen, the people of Memphis and Shelby County elected him, and that's who we need to listen to. And instead of attacking him, we need to attack the issues that plague the city.
So you mentioned at the top that there is a bit of a shift. Yeah, seismic is a good way to put it in the national purview of elections, where now Vice President Kamala Harris, and it is important to note that you are a Shelby County delegate. So I was really excited that you came on the show because I wanted to talk to you about all of this. Of course, Joe Biden stepping aside, and now she is the presumptive Democratic nominee. There really does seem to be a shift, just to me, in more than just positions. She has come into this and she's raised over $200 million. She has galvanized over 170,000 volunteers to join this campaign, and over 30,000 young people under the age of 35 have registered to vote. On its surface, what does that say to you about where we are as a country, and more importantly, where people now starting to focus in on this election and the consequences of it?
Well, I'll tell you, while I was a strong supporter of Joe Biden, really appreciated the significant policy victories that the Biden-Harris administration accomplished, from the CHIPS and Science Act to the Bipartisan Infrastructure Act. I think that him stepping down and immediately endorsing Vice President Harris was obviously a historic move, but a tremendous one. It has engaged folks who have never been involved in politics. It has given a new life to the Democratic Party, where people are saying, hey, look, this is the future. This is a Black South Asian woman who, has served on a local, state, federal, and in the White House, and who is uniquely equipped to be in this position. And so you've seen it started with the Win with Black Women Coalition, then the Win with Black Men, then the Win with White Women, then the Win with White Men. I think that call is later today. Win with disabled folks, win with young folks, win with the LGBTQ plus community. It has galvanized a coalition of folks that are eager and excited to an alternative, right? We want a country that's based on hope and based on working together, not based on fear and oppression, and really striking at the heart of democracy.
One thing that has been mentioned, and it seems to be getting more attention, is Project 2025. And if the Republicans win this thing, that could be the mandate and the doctrine that we face in this country. We talk about elections have consequences, and there aren't any greater consequences than where we are now. Does this take you back? Because it takes me back to 2008. The type of energy, the type of passion, the type of excitement that is being generated in this election from people, as you just described, of all stripes, it's pretty remarkable, isn't it?
It definitely is. I was in law school in 2008 when President Obama kind of, shot to the forefront in that Democratic primary and in that general election. It brought so many folks together. You had folks in Florida and Ohio and these states that have now flipped red, they voted for him. And I think you see the same level of enthusiasm in these similar states. Florida, in the Village, that has historically been very Republican, had a parade of golf carts in support of Kamala Harris. It has awakened a totally new group of folks.
Yeah.
I mean, and I'm excited about it, because that's when we function best as a country, right?
Mm-hmm.
When we look at issues, when we focus on what we can do together and not on what divides us, which is so descriptive of Trump's narrative. And you look at Project 2025, folks can talk about personalities, Republican versus Democrat, whatever. Project 2025 would have dire consequences for everyone. It is a direct attack on democracy. It is an attack on the Department of Education, the Department of Justice, the FBI, LGBTQ rights, women's rights, workers' rights, any rights you can think of. It is a direct attack on that. It is a clear plan and pathway to try and privatize the federal government. And that's what we should be afraid of.
Yeah, I think you really nailed it, perfectly there. I mean, there are so many people who would be harmed by this should he get in the White House. Does it at all surprise you that his Trump, meaning Trump's running mate, continues to put his foot in his mouth on past statements, just like his the head of the ticket is? I mean, he is making things a lot worse in terms of this. People are, and I really do think that we're 99 days, I believe we are, from the election. Is that what it is? Pretty quick.
98, yeah.
When are you headed to Chicago? When's the convention?
So the convention is in August 18th is when we're supposed to get there.
Okay.
I will let you know, though, obviously, because of there was already a virtual process in place, even if Biden stayed as the nominee.
Right.
Because of Ohio and, being able to make sure that the Democratic nominee was on the ballot, there was already a virtual voting process that would take place to officially nominate our candidate. And then, of course, the convention would be ceremonial.
Right.
So that same thing will move forward. Last week, we received nominating ballots to put in the person as a delegate that we would want to support. And so that was confirmed. Obviously, I put in Kamala Harris. So very excited about that process. But it kicks off. It'll be August 19th through the 23rd, 22nd. It's going to be a good week to bring folks together and really show what we can be as a country. And I'll tell you one other thing. This is a unprecedented time, and I feel like every situation, and we keep saying it's unprecedented. But you have a person running for office who said in statements last week that if folks voted in this election, they would never need to vote again.
Exactly.
That would terrify anyone.
Yeah, exactly.
And everyone. Yeah. And then JD Vance. I mean, I completely expect what he's saying because he's a fraud. Well, I read Hillbilly LG. I fell hook, line, and sinker for his story about how to reach rural America. Yeah. And for him to do such a 180 shift and become, this spewer of the same divisive, hateful things that he originally skewered is just crazy. So yes, when he said that Democrats would say Diet Mountain Dew was racist, and when he basically said, the comments about his wife, I mean, it's just, you're supposed to pick a vice presidential candidate that brings something to the table that can help you expand your base, and he does nothing but just tap into the same hatred that Trump has made popular.
Well, this is history part 2 in the making, I think, and we look forward to greater days ahead. Senator Raumesh Akbari, it's always good to see you, and always good to get your take on all of this. And thank you for taking the time. I know you're still busy, even though the House isn't in session, but I really appreciate you coming on tonight and sharing your views and your thoughts. I really appreciate that.
Of course, my pleasure. And look, we'll give you an update once the DNC happens or during the DNC, okay?
I'm looking forward to that. I am looking for that. You be safe in the meantime, okay?
All right, thank you.
Okay, take care. Ladies and gentlemen, there you go. Senator Raumesh Akbari. She, of course, is a delegate for the Shelby County Democratic Party, and she will be in Chicago come next month for this history-making convention as well. Great interview. I always like talking to her. We're going to take a break, and when we come back, we are going to shift gears and talk about an issue that many of us deal with, but just don't feel comfortable talking about, and that is mental health. We're going to have a guest talk a little bit about all of that. We'll do that and more on this edition of Real Talk Memphis. I'm Chip. Don't you go away. We're just getting started. Be right back.
If you like Real Talk, here's a way you can get involved. Do you have a show topic idea or suggestion? Want to be considered a guest? or have a guest idea? Then send Chip a message on his Real Talk show page and you can be a part of the Real Talk experience. So as he always says, go out and tell somebody. We'll be right back.
It's real talk. It's real talk. It's real talk. It's real talk.
Hey, I'm Amy, host of Sonosphere on Monday at 4 p.m., and you're listening to WYXR 91.7 FM Memphis. I'm here today to ask you to further your impact with the station with the city's soul by joining the ranks as a WYXR mid-level donor today. Join us in championing a more inclusive and informed world through the transformative power of the community radio. Visit midlevel.wyxr.org to become a mid-level donor at WYXR, where your investment paves the way for a brighter and more connected future. Mid-level donors enjoy exclusive benefits such as on-air acknowledgments, VIP passes to Raised by Soundfest, and the opportunity to step into the role of a guest DJ. More information about mid-level donations can be found at midlevel.wyxr.org.
Get Real Talk on the TuneIn mobile app under WYXR, and he's now streaming live on Facebook. And you can also catch a rebroadcast on YouTube. Just put WYXR in the search box and hit subscribe. Now back to more Real Talk with Chip Washington.
It's real talk. 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 It's real talk.
And welcome back to Real Talk Memphis on this Monday evening in the city. Chip with you. Very happy to have you with us this evening. I'm very happy to have my next guest. She's actually has never been on this show before, and I look forward to talking with her. Mental health is an issue that, we've talked about on this show in the past, and I don't think we can talk enough about it because there are so many people who are dealing with it, and it has been for a very long time what one would call a hidden secret. And my next guest can talk a little bit about that. She's a mental health expert, among other things, and I wanted to get her perspective because I saw her on TV last week talking about this on one of the local news stations. Her name is Brandy Flynn, and Brandy, it's great to see you. Thanks for coming on Real Talk Memphis tonight.
Thank you for having me, Chip. I'm super excited to be here. I love talking about mental health. I think one of these platforms is a great way for us to bring awareness to it.
It really is, and I thank you again for coming. It has been for a long time the hidden secret in a lot of families. But there's always someone in pretty much every family who has some issues in reference to that. I've never known why, that it was such a, shameful thing to talk about it or to really get into it. In reference to all of this, do you think, though, as time has moved forward, now you're a young woman, but as time has moved forward, are people starting to realize that it is not a death sentence, but it is a problem that can be recognized and talked about?
Yes, we are bringing more awareness about it, and we are teaching people that, that you can have a successful life with mental illness, and somewhere down the line in each family in the generation, somebody is breaking their curse of we're no longer going to talk about it, that all we have to do is just pray about it, that, originally just breaking the curse of going to seek therapy, and asking questions in our family, because a lot of times we don't know these things because we keep family secrets. We don't share things until something big happens. And then when people ask me questions, well, Uncle Ray used to be in the back room,
Sure.
or Grandma Lucy, had a manic episode after her sixth child. We never talk about these things, but I think now we are being more vocal about it. We are standing on business on knowing information about our mental health, in the history of our mental health in our family.
That's important, what you just said there. And that's important to know, isn't it? This goes back to heritage. This goes back to family, and going back generations to understand if someone is dealing with a particular situation today, what happened in the past? What happened with some of your family members, which is what you alluded to. How important, that is very, very important, is it not? Because, does that not help to get you to a certain place? Talk about that.
Yeah, it's very important. Now, let me say this, that everybody that has a mental illness, it does not mean they have a history of it.
Mm-hmm.
And just because you have a history of it does not mean that you're going to get it. Just like if diabetes run in your family or heart disease run in your family, it does not mean that you're going to get it. It just means that you're prone to it. But if you know about it, what are you going to do? You're going to be proactive about it. You're going to make sure that you don't eat certain kind of foods. You're going to make sure that you are exercising, different things like that, or you be on a watch for it. And then you have people that have the heart disease, has nothing to do with their DNA. It's just their lifestyle. It just be things that occurred in their life. So it's the same thing with mental illness. And that's what people need to understand. Mental illness is just that. It is an illness, just like cancer, diabetes, all those things like that. It is an illness, but also we need to speak more about mental health as a whole, because when we do talk about mental illness, then that steers people away. Like, oh, well, I don't need to worry about that. I'm not crazy. But that does not mean that there could still be something going on with you, with your mental health. Just like when you go to get your physical, doesn't mean that you're sick,
right.
But you go get your physical, then you would have known that your cholesterol is high. Or you would have known that, hey, you gained 10 pounds,
right.
You need to lose.
Brandy, let me ask you this question. How do you inspire trust in an individual or a society that isn't very trusting? A lot of folks don't trust, period authorities or anything else, and they feel like there's an other ulterior motive. So that's what I was listening very intently to what you just said. But how do you, in this particular area, how do you inspire getting folks to be trusting enough to talk about an uncomfortable situation?
Well, for me, how I get people to trust me is that I meet people where they're at. I don't belittle people. I don't judge people. When I do speaking engagements about mental health, I go to the neighborhoods. They don't necessarily have to come to me. And I make their issues as important. I listen to them, and I provide positive feedback. I don't force them to go to therapy. I don't force that. I just give them the information. And again, when you meet people where they're at and you build that rapport with people, you let them know that, hey, I'm not judging you. This is a safe space. Then they'll come to you. Well, some people, it may take a little longer than others, which is fine, because telling somebody that I've been having these thoughts, it's kind of like telling somebody I'm broke. Though, our mental health and our financial health are two things we are very private about.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. One of the things that we talk about these days, and we're hearing more about it, is mental health as it pertains to our young people. That seems to be more of a topic of conversation and discussion in reference to a lot of the things that we see today. But there have to be root causes to make a determination as to why someone commits a specific action and does a specific thing. Are you finding, and as again I say, you're a younger person, but are you finding that we are starting to see legitimate cases of mental illness in some of our youth, some of our young people?
I would say I think that it's being public knowledge, because it's always been around.
Okay.
And probably in places where there are facilities for kids to get the help, but a lot of it wasn't Black kids unless they was in the system, and then the system put them in those places. But for parents to, hey, I'm going to send you somewhere to get help, you don't hear a lot of Black families that do that. But now, because it's becoming more outrageous, shall I say, now it's making it's making a lot of noise. But there has been problems. Well, I don't want to say problems. There has been mental health issues, mental illness with kids. That has been an ongoing thing. But like I said, we're just not paying attention to it, because at first we just thought, well, we just whoop them, or we just put them on punishment, or they're just being spoiled, or we just send them away. But now we're paying attention to kids, and I don't want to say it's too late, but it's part of it is getting out of hand. But then you have the school system and other places that are being open to work with kids. So it's kind of like bringing it together to find a common core for us to work on the problem with the kids. Because again, I always tell people, if you don't deal with your child with their mental issues when they're 5, when they're 10, it's going to be a problem when they turn 15, when they turn 25, when they turn 30.
So they actually manifest. They actually manifest themselves, or some of the issues that you may see. You're talking about kids who are very, very young. I mean, so it can be manifested even that young, in 5, 6 year olds that you can see that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, it can.
Yeah, I didn't know that. Obviously, we have seen here in the state of Tennessee, at least because this is where I'm at and we're at. That there are more facilities that are open now in dealing with mental illness on every level, not just adults, but as you said, even for young people. And the one thing that you said earlier that I hear all the time that I still don't think people pay enough attention to is when you realize that there is a problem somewhere within an individual, you have to talk to them directly, and meeting them where they are is how you do that. I just can't have you emphasize enough how important it is to meet these people where they are.
Yes, because that's how you build trust.
Yeah.
You don't have to be among them. You don't have to become them, but make it where, again, you're creating a safe space for them where they can be who they are, talk how they talk.
Sure.
If they're rambling, they can get their thoughts together, but you're being there and you're listening to them and you're making them feel important.
You know, this kind of conversation needs to be go on all the time, because we're still dealing with a stigma, and a lot of people still feel stigmatized by it. So I'm thankful that folks like you and others have dedicated a good portion of what you do to helping people understand that it's okay not to be okay. Is that? I mean, I remember I've heard that several times, but that it really is okay not to be okay. Am I correct in that?
It is, and it's okay to pay your tithes and your copay.
Yeah, that's true too. Brandy, Flynn, listen, I really appreciate you taking the time. This is important stuff, and we need folks like you, and we need a lot of mental health professionals to be able to deal with the serious issues that a lot of folks are dealing with out here today. I really appreciate you taking the time to come on and talk with us tonight. I really appreciate that. Thank you so much.
I appreciate you reaching out and having me on here.
Absolutely. You take good care of yourself. We'll talk to you down the road.
All right, then.
Okay, take care. There you go. There you go, ladies and gentlemen. This is something that cannot be ignored anymore. We are seeing too many cases, and as Brandy alluded to, young folks, young people are dealing with serious mental issues, and a lot of times I always sit back and say, why is that child like that? Why is he acting? Why is she acting like that? Why are they acting out? Well, there are reasons, there are underlying reasons for things like this, and that is why it is important not to discard them or throw them away, but to embrace them and tell them, look, we are here to help you. We're not here to judge you, and we're here to get you the help that you need. So we thank Brandy for coming on the show. We're going to take another break, and when we come back, we're going to continue along this vein with our next guest, and we're going to talk a little bit more about all of this on another level. This is Real Talk Memphis. I'm Chip. Don't go away. We still got more to go. We'll be right back.
If you like Real Talk, here's a way you can get involved. Do you have a show topic idea or suggestion? Want to be considered a guest or have a guest idea? Then send Chip a message on his Real Talk show page and you can be a part of the Real Talk experience. So as he always says, go out and tell somebody. We'll be right back.
Programming on WYXR is brought to you by a grant from Arts Memphis, who has invested $94 million into our local arts community to teach, uplift, unite, and engage Memphians of all ages and zip codes.
You're listening, but are you in the know? The WYXR weekly newsletter is the best source for keeping up with events at WYXR, whether they are happening on our airwaves, behind the scenes, or out in the community. Log on to newsletter.wyxr.org to sign up for our mailing list and keep yourself in the loop.
Get Real Talk on the TuneIn mobile app under WYXR, and he's now streaming live on Facebook. And you can also catch a rebroadcast on YouTube. Just put WYXR in the search box and hit subscribe. Now back to more Real Talk with Chip Washington.
And welcome back to the big broadcast on this Monday evening, Real Talk Memphis. Chip with you. Of course, the last segment, we talked a little bit about mental health. And I want to continue this because there are many levels to all of this. There are many degrees to all of this as well. And that we need to pay attention to signs and things that happen. And I'm really happy to have my next guest with me. She is a counselor. She is a therapist. She works on the front lines of trauma and issues like that. And of course, she is going to be offering up her professional services starting this week, as a matter of fact, at one of our local area churches. We'll talk about more of that. Talk more about that in just a couple of minutes. But first, let me introduce Alicia Denton to the show. And she's been on here before. Alicia, it's good to see you, my friend. How you doing tonight?
Hey, I'm doing well. Good to see you. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. Always. She also has a new book out. We'll talk about that as well in just a couple of minutes. But Alicia, this problem that we're seeing today with the pressure that so many people feel on so many levels, dealing with so many different things that are happening in life, whether it is traumatic, sudden death, or death of a family member, loved one, or someone that you're close to. All of these trigger certain emotions in all of us, and grief is a part of life. One of the things that I know that you do, and that we talked about last time, is your work with the Memphis Police Department in reference to dealing with, I would say, the best way I can say it is really on the spot, extraordinarily traumatic circumstances when you go out with the police when they're investigating a homicide, and people find out that a loved one has been taken from us in a violent way, and you guys and your team are right on the spot when that happens. That has to be one of the most difficult things to be able to do, to let alone have a person process. Am I correct in that?
It is a difficult thing to do, and and we always say it takes a special person or a special group of people to do this type of work, because you have to, number one, have empathy for others. That's important,
right?
And you have to be genuine in your approach and very non-judgmental, because we're working with individuals of all walks of life. So we have to take that in consideration and be there in the moment with that person or that family. So,
in doing what you do, you have your own, your office, you have your own operation personally that you do, that you deal with situations like this. One of the things that has really been on my heart a lot lately is when I hear the story of a young person, say someone under the age of 20, that has committed suicide, that they feel like the pressure of life, the stress that they're dealing with, maybe at home with their families or what have you, has become so great, or bullying or things like that become so great that they decide that they don't want to be here anymore. We have also heard, Alicia, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, that suicide rate among young people is rising. Is that true? Am I speaking correctly on that?
You're absolutely correct on that. Unfortunately, the numbers are rising, and I'm glad we're having this conversation, because I know you talked to Brandy a while ago about mental health, but we need to keep talking about it, and not only talking about it, but acting on it.
Right.
And I know we're going to talk about what we're doing at the church,
right,
but that's a part of that action plan, because people need to understand that there's someone here that they can talk to through those times.
Now, yeah, absolutely that. And speaking of that, you wrote a book, and I wanted to talk a little bit about that. I believe it's called Under the Purple Cloud. Am I correct?
Yes, Under the Purple Cloud.
And it came out today, right?
actually released Saturday.
Okay, all right. Well, congratulations on that. But first of all, that's a very interesting title. What if someone were to inquire about picking this up? What would they find in this book? What made you decide to write this book?
That's a great question. And poetry, believe it or not, it's something that I've been doing for a while because it's all poetry. It's poetic expression. But there's storytelling in the poetry. And not only storytelling, but in these poems about trauma, depression, anxiety, all types of life situations, I wanted to incorporate coping techniques, specific ones I've even used in my profession, like grounding techniques. So not only can you, and you're getting a mental image when you read each poem, you can like see the person going through that circumstance.
Yeah.
And then you're seeing them under the purple clouds. And then the clouds release. They come through that storm, they're blossoming amid a storm. So that's how it came to be with Under the Purple Clouds, that finding the rainbow. It was for me. That's how it started. Finding my rainbow under the purple cloud.
And you're letting people know that there is a rainbow, even through the most difficult, the most traumatic, the most heartbreaking times. Even going through that process, there is a rainbow on the other end of it. I think that's amazing. And in reference to all of that, now you are partnering with Fullview Missionary Baptist Church starting this Thursday night, which is the 1st of August, and through the entire month of August, you are working with the senior pastor over there, Jonathan McReynolds, on this particular health and wellness group of, I don't know if it's sessions or seminars or what have you. Talk a little bit about what is coming up and why it is so important for people to come, listen, and participate.
Yeah, so we're starting this series. I partnered with Fullview Baptist Church because one thing, the pastor of Fullview, he recognizes the need for this service. He recognizes the need to be a, conduit for his parishioners to provide the services. And when I told him I wanted to cater to the needs, what do we need? What are their church members are in need of?
Right.
And grief and trauma came up. That was a huge one. So that's what we wanted to focus on in these sessions. And it's important because we need to provide that awareness, simply awareness of what grief looks like, how to recognize it when it happens, or those reactions to it, and what's happening. And not only that, but how do you deal? How do you deal?
Yeah, and I think that's the biggest part of all of this is how do you deal, because we all deal with it. We all in our life, everybody who's living this life is going to have to deal with some traumatic event or some loss or something to that effect. And it's not that you can't get past it. It's that you have to move through it. We all have to sort of be able to move through it, these events as they come up and happen. So what are you both looking to accomplish with this? What at the end of this, which is every Thursday evening, I believe, from 7 to 8 at the church for the remainder of this month, right? For the entire month of August, correct? That's what it's
for the entire month of August, each Thursday from 7 p.m. to 8 p.m.
So
we'll have sessions.
So what are you hoping that people take away from this? Well, what would be some of the goals that you would like to bring out, both in some of the information that you put out and pass forth to individuals, and more importantly, how do you want them to receive what it is they're going to be hearing from you?
Well, first I'm going to start. This is the start of a courageous conversation in the church, four walls of a church. So this is, to me, this is big, starting something like this. And what we're looking to hopefully accomplish, not only help them come up with ways to cope, and I'm going to provide some techniques, but also looking at, and something that Dr. McReynolds and I talked about, is maybe doing some one-on-ones. We're hoping that people can be able to come in and say, hey, I want to talk to her, one-on-one.
Sure.
Do some individual sessions and just go out, branch out from there, because that's one of the biggest goals too, is to just provide that service beyond a workshop, and it can even turn into support groups. It could turn into more mini sessions. So it's so much, Chip. I can't even talk about it in these few minutes.
Well, one of the things that you said, I think that's vitally important for people to understand is that this could be for many people an open door to the beginning of a new way of looking at life. That's what I'm hearing when I'm listening to you talk about all of this. And I know Bishop McReynolds is very, very serious about this and very focused on it, because it is an important component for many of us, whether we choose to outwardly admit it or not. That we have to understand that it's okay, as I said to Brandy, and I'll say it again to you, it's okay not to be okay. That doesn't mean that there's some big major issue wrong with you. That means that you're going through some things. And again, I remember last time I spoke with you, and it's been a minute since we've spoken. But one of the things that you told me even back then was that you wanted to work with the church community. You wanted to work with the people inside those four walls, because a lot of times folks go to church and they hear a sermon. They may be feeling a certain way, and maybe after the sermon they feel a bit better. A lot of times though, that's a temporary feeling, and then they go back to their environment and they feel the way they felt before they walked in. This is something that is a step to hopefully make people take another step. And I don't want to put words, but am I saying that right?
No, you're absolutely right. It is a step, and it's one that he's embraced, and I just know that the members will embrace it as well, because that's why we're doing this. It's for them. Yeah. It's for the congregation, for their healing and recovery.
And as you say, this is free. It's a free event every Thursday, starting this Thursday in August, through the month of August, from 7 to 8 p.m. at the church located at 7100 Memphis Arlington Road in Bartlett, Fullview Missionary Baptist Church. And listen, thank you, Alicia, for coming on the show and talking about this, and more importantly, not being afraid to tell folks it's okay. If you're fearful or you're afraid or whatever, let's talk it out, let's work it out, and let's make you a better person. Thank you for being here tonight. I really appreciate that, and congratulations on the book.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely that. Ladies and gentlemen, that puts a wrap on this edition of Real Talk Memphis. I don't know about you, but I learned a lot tonight with our guest. And again, if you can make some time to head over to the church on Thursday night, do that. It would be a very great benefit to you, because like I said, we all have something, and it's okay to have it, just as long as you are able to be honest about it, open about it, and take care of it. As Brand plays this out, very happy to have you all with us this evening. Once again, thank you for supporting this broadcast, and thank you for supporting all that we do here at Real Talk Memphis. If you like what we do, go out and tell somebody. Like I always say, go out and tell somebody. Have them tune in to Real Talk Memphis. We'd love to have you. We appreciate you all. For Bryn, for lovely Lola, and for just old plain Chip. Glad to have you with us. Have a safe, careful week, and be careful in this heat. Till next time, we are out.